What if a president tried to change the name of a football team? Not because of safety or rules or money, but just because he liked the old name better. Hello there, young thinkers. I'm Professor Sagewell, and today we're investigating a curious headline about President Donald Trump and a team name that's causing quite a bit of controversy. Again. In July 2025, Donald Trump demanded that the Washington Commanders football team change their name back to the Redskins. A name dropped years ago because many people found it offensive. He posted it online and repeated it at rallies. He even warned the team that he might block their brand new stadium deal in Washington, D.C., unless they brought the old name back. Now, why would a former president care so much about a football team's name? And how does a stadium deal give him any power to make demands? To answer that, we need to understand why the name changed in the first place. For decades, the Washington team was known as the Redskins, a name that sparked fierce national debate. Some longtime fans thought it honored Native Americans' strength and pride. They wore jerseys, waved flags, and cheered under that name for generations, believing it was a tribute, not an insult. But many indigenous leaders, tribal members, and civil rights organizations disagreed. They called the name a slur, a word that had been used to mock, stereotype, and harm Native communities for centuries. As the debate heated up, sponsors like Nike, FedEx, and Pepsi told the team they could no longer support the name. They said change was long overdue, and it needed to happen now. So in 2020, the team retired the Redskins name and temporarily became the Washington football team. Then in 2022, they announced their new permanent name, the Washington Commanders. Some fans cheered the change, while others felt confused, frustrated, or disappointed. And Donald Trump, he made his feelings loud and clear. He wanted the old name back. And he still does. So what happened in 2025 to bring this all back again? It wasn't just a social media post. Trump connected the name change to a $1 billion stadium plan in Washington, D.C. The Commanders want to build a brand new football stadium at the site of the old RFK Stadium. It would be a massive modern upgrade. But it sits on federal land. And Donald Trump said the team should immediately change their name back, or risk losing support for their new stadium deal altogether. This isn't just about football anymore. It's become a political fight over history, power, and public opinion, with one name and one team, caught right in the middle of it all. Trump has claimed that many fans still want the Redskins name. He's argued that the new name doesn't have the same ring to it, and that the team's value would increase if it switched back. But critics say this is just more political theatre. They argue that bringing back the name would reopen painful wounds, offend Native communities, and undo years of progress made by activists and allies. The current owners of the Commanders, led by businessman Josh Harris, haven't said they're considering a name change. So far, they're sticking with the Commanders and focusing on the future, not the past. Meanwhile, Native American organizations have responded firmly. Groups like the National Congress of American Indians say the name Redskins should stay in the history books, not on jerseys or billboards. They remind everyone that this isn't about being offended. It's about dignity, identity, and the right to define how cultures are represented in public life and sports. This isn't the first time a sports team has changed its name because of concerns about Native American stereotypes. In fact, it's part of a much bigger conversation that's been going on for years. Back in 2021, the Cleveland Indians baseball team became the Cleveland Guardians. The old name and mascot had long been criticized for turning native cultures into costumes and cartoons. Now in 2025, Trump is also pressuring the Guardians to bring back their old name, but the team hasn't responded, and many fans and tribal leaders support the change that was made. Around the country, schools, mascots, and teams have faced similar questions. Does the name honor a culture, or does it reduce it to a stereotype? The answer isn't always easy. Some people say keeping the old names preserves tradition and history. Others say those names were never respectful in the first place, and that true honor comes from listening, not labeling. As for the Washington Commanders, the story isn't over yet. But here's what matters most. When people speak up, challenge old ideas, and try to make public spaces more respectful, it shows how much they care about justice and inclusion. And you have the power to think critically, ask questions, and understand that names aren't just words. They carry stories, symbols, and the weight of history behind them. Let's do a quick recap. In 2025, Donald Trump called for the Washington Commanders to return to their old name, the Redskins, a name dropped years ago after public backlash. He tied his demand to a massive stadium project in DC, using political pressure to influence a football team's identity, something rarely seen in US history. But many Native American groups and sponsors and fans support keeping the name Commanders. They believe names should respect people, not reduce them to stereotypes or slogans. Now let's see what you remember. It's time for a short quiz. Question 1. What was the name of the Washington football team before they became the Commanders? Answer: the Redskins. Question 2. Why did the team retire that name in 2020? Answer: because many Native American groups and sponsors said it was offensive and disrespectful. Question 3. What is Donald Trump using as leverage to try and bring back the old name? Answer: he's threatening to block the team's stadium deal in Washington, D.C. And now, a question just for discussion. Should sports teams change their names if those names groups of people? Why or why not? Type your answer below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And as always, if you enjoyed this episode and want to keep learning about current events with a curious mind, make sure to subscribe for the next one. Until next time, stay thoughtful, stay curious, and stay kind.